Jersey City Board of Education candidate Lorenzo Richardson sat down with Hudson County View to discuss his candidacy, starting with why he's running.
The reason why I'm involved in education is because I grew up and lived in this city all my life. I went through this education system. I grew up in Montgomery Gardens housing project, and I know that if it were not for my education, that I wouldn't be where I am today. I've had a wonderful life thus far, and I hope to continue to have a great one. And I want to make sure that the rest of our children in this city of 28,000 who go to our public schools have a great education as well. Right now, a lot of things are happening in the district that are not good for our children, and I just want to make sure that those things are corrected and that our children are getting a good quality education, all 28,000 of them.
I followed up by asking him what his issues were.
Like, you have issues with some of the curriculum. You have issues with, we have an outsourced substitute teacher company, and we're having issues with those subs who are doing things to our children that are not good. And a lot of those things have been highlighted in the newspaper. Recently, a child was supposedly slapped in the face, allegedly, as well as another child was demeaned, and other children were told not to play with that child. And then we also had some substitute teachers who are making inappropriate comments to some of the students as well. And these things are not acceptable. And in a profession where, you know, it's highly regarded and it's very critical that children are getting an education and not being traumatized or treated, or mistreated, should I say, or treated in the wrong way, is unacceptable for our children, and it needs to stop.
Richardson, known to be a fierce critic of education reform, said traditional public schools were outperforming charter schools in Jersey City.
Well, I'm not an enemy of charter schools. That was created for a reason, and it's under the law, and I allow all parents their right to send their child to whichever school they decide to, even if it's a charter school. That's their right. But at the end of the day, I'm a big supporter of public schools, and I believe that if we're doing everything that we're supposed to do in public schools, ultimately there won't be a need for charter schools. But if there's a need for charter schools for a specific reason, so be it, based on the law of the state of New Jersey. But I think ultimately, you know, if we focus on our public schools, we can do everything that the charter schools are doing, and there won't be a need for charter schools, particularly any expansion of charter schools, because most of the charter schools that we have here are not doing well. We're doing better with our public schools over the charter schools.
I also asked Richardson how he would work with the current board, and a controversial comment he made to some of the members years ago.
I think that, number one, I can work with anybody, but number one, I would expect everybody else to be as professional, as upfront, as transparent, and as committed as I am to the children, and not to other interests and things going on. You know, I'm not beholden to anybody. So I'm there for those children, and to make sure the teachers are going to teach, to make sure that the schools are run well, and that's my job as a board member. And I expect that from everybody else, not shenanigans. Now, to go back to the comment was nothing more than a figure of speech, and to make it into something else was completely absurd. But of course, when people are trying to malign you, or they feel that you're too much of a good candidate to get on the board, they want to try to, you know, take snaps at you to try to figure out a way to, you know, kind of, you know, take votes away from you or something.
Finally, Richardson talked about what voters should expect of him if elected.
Well, in 3 years, you'll definitely see some accountability in terms of making sure that board members are playing their role. Right now, we have board members who are not fulfilling their role. We have a situation now where if you go to those board meetings, it's supposed to be the board in charge, and the superintendent is the employee. What you have going on right now is, it seems that the superintendent is directing the board, and that is the opposite of what is happening. I think you're going to see some accountability, and we're going to be asking some questions, and we're going to be making sure that the superintendent is accomplishing things like, for instance, fixing a lot of these schools that have been reported with problems. You have problems at 15 school with a roof that was 5 years old, but now you're fixing it. Why are you fixing it 5 years later? Then you still have not resolved the problem of lead in the water, and we're not getting regular updates. The last update was a year and a half ago. So we have to have accountability on that level. And then you're going to have some, like I said, serious commitment that's going to be regular meetings. We're going to make sure that we inform the public on a regular basis, and if necessary, I will hold those meetings personally, and I will do it on a regular basis, and I will move it around the entire city, and I will make sure that the community knows what's going on, and then they could also come to us for issues and concerns and have those issues resolved, not sitting waiting for someone on someone's desk to be resolved and they never get a call back, because we get a lot of that and we hear a lot of that at those board meetings. That's going to stop.
I'm Michael Shuren with Hudson County View, the eye of the community.